Rebecca thought nothing of meeting up with an ex-partner she had known through a mutual family friend. But when she rejected his advances, her life became a living nightmare and she was subjected to stalking, harassment and online stalking and bullying.
Even now, I cannot believe what I had been subjected to at the hands of an individual I thought I knew. To say it had been a living nightmare is an understatement. People sometimes associate domestic abuse as something which happens in the home or in a relationship, but I am living proof that this is not the case. Abusers often target ex-partners or people who reject their advances. It took a while for the whole thing to surface before I realised what was happening. I fortunately had the courage to go to the police. When Josh asked me to go for a drink with him after we crossed paths a considerable time after we dated, I thought it'd be nice to catch up. When we met, he made his intentions clear and hoped we could be more than old acquaintances. And I told him that I had too much going on in my life and that I was actually casually dating someone else at the time. He wished me well and we went on our way. A few weeks later, I started receiving calls from him in the middle of the night and hundreds of texts every day. At first I ignored them, but that kind of intensity is virtually impossible to ignore, so I called him and told him to leave me alone. It was putting a real strain on my new relationship and on my professional life. I travel a lot for my job and I was constantly getting bombarded with messages and texts from him. I rang him again and begged him to stop, and he kept saying how much he loved me. No man would ever love me as much as he did. I was a fool, etc. And when I ignored him, he would send nasty and abusive texts, some of which I could never repeat as they were downright disgusting. His behaviour was completely Jekyll and Hyde, one extreme to another. There was no middle ground. Whenever I ignored him, he would try and contact me through other people we knew. The manipulation and harassment by text and phone continued, and then he started to abuse me on social networking sites. He was writing pages and pages of poems and accounts of his love for me for the world to see, and I was getting contacted by people who didn't even know me asking if I was aware of this obsessive man. The final straw came when he turned up to meet a flight I was on when I was returning from a trip overseas. Despite my best efforts and those people who cared for me, he still managed to find me, and that scared me. I knew then it had to stop, and I went to see the police. I had deleted, I would say, hundreds and hundreds of messages from my phone, but what I had kept was sufficient evidence. It was such a relief hearing the police officer say to me that his behaviour was completely out of order and there were strong grounds for criminal charges. It was the first sigh of relief and realisation that his behaviour towards me had been completely unacceptable. It also reassured me that it was not in my head. Abusers are so manipulative, they create a sense of confusion when you doubt your own integrity. It really can happen to anyone from any walk of life, no matter how intelligent or worldly wise you think you are. These abusers are clever, which makes it so confusing and psychologically draining for the victim. They grind you down. The police were fantastic and did everything they could to support me. He was arrested and charged, and there now is a restraining order against him, preventing him from contacting me or any of my friends, family or associates, directly or indirectly. It also forbids him to abuse me on social networking sites or other media. It has been a long and mentally, emotionally exhausting road, but I have relief now. However, I would be kidding myself if I said I don't look over my shoulder. The impact of someone's actions on the recipient in psychological abuse like this is indescribable. My message to people who may be in a similar situation is this: nobody has the right to do this to anyone else. I would never wish what I have been through on anyone. If you have any inkling you could be a victim of this type of abuse, please tell the police. They will believe you and help you. Also, keep all evidence of the abuse on your phone, email, social network accounts. The law is there to protect you. Everyone has the right to live a peaceful life. These people need to be stopped, and help is out there.